Hi, my name's David Heatley and I'm one of the company directors of Cycling Inform. Now we're a cycling coaching company and we're based here in Melbourne and we coach athletes all around Australia. And we've put together this video for people that are preparing for the Great Victorian Bike Ride run by Bicycling Network. Now this is a fantastic event. It's run over 9 days. 8 of those days are riding. So the first thing I'd like to talk about is training for the event. Now the Great Victorian Bike Ride is a fantastic 9-day event, as I've mentioned, and you do get a rest day in between, but you'll be riding for 8 of those days. So it's important that you train yourself to be able to back yourself up day after day while you're riding. And the other thing is that it's got a few hills in it. So you also need to train yourself to climb hills. Now training for anything is not like cramming for an exam. You can't just do a couple of weeks of high intensity training and expect fantastic results. So the best way to train for an event like this is to steadily build your fitness over time, and that allows your body to recover and rest as you improve your fitness. The other thing that you really want to work on is your consistency in training, and that's what helps you with that back-to-back, improving your back-to-back. So what we generally recommend to people is that they ride during the week, try and ride 3, maybe 4 times during the week. And commuting is a fantastic way of doing that. It fits into your lifestyle. And the idea is that you want to build your fitness up to a point where you feel fairly comfortable riding, an 80k ride. Okay, bearing in mind that the longest ride on the Great Victorian Bike Ride is 120k. Now during the weekend, there's some fantastic rail trails that are available around Melbourne and some fantastic bike tracks. So a rail trail that comes to mind is the Lilydale to Warburton, and that's a fantastic rail trail to be able to spend a little bit more time on the bike and just practice. Now the other things that you need to work on in training for the event is to develop your confidence riding on different road surfaces and also in different weather conditions, because we don't know what's going to happen, what sort of weather we're going to encounter on the Great Victorian Bike Ride. So it's important that when you do go out riding, perhaps during the week or during the weekend, don't be too shy of bad weather, like when it's raining or windy, because you may encounter that on the ride. So if you can get used to that in your training leading up to the event, that's going to help you obviously when you're on the event. And also working with cornering and braking, because the way that you corner and brake on a wet day is going to be a lot different to the way that you would corner and brake on a dry day, and also the way that you ride around on gravel roads and those sort of things. So get used to riding in those sort of conditions, and also another important thing is that you will be riding with other people. So if you're not familiar with riding in bunches, then it's a good idea to get out and do a little bit of bunch riding. Now the Bicycle Network do offer some prep rides with some warbies, and that gives you the opportunity to experience riding with other people if you find it difficult to find bunches to ride in. So keep that in mind as one of the options, and look for those when they're promoted on the Bicycling Network website. So I just wanted to touch just lightly on nutrition as well. Obviously it's very important that you eat healthy foods while you're training for an event like this. Make sure that you stay away from fatty and fried foods. You want to drink plenty of water, and when out on the bike, it's really important if you're going for a ride that's longer than 2 hours that you consume like a low GI carbohydrate. So that's something like a muesli, brown bread as toast, or porridge. They're great sort of pre-ride foods that you can eat for rides that when they're longer than 2 hours. So just remember that when you're riding out there for longer than 2 hours, make sure you have something first thing in the morning. And the other thing is that when you're out on rides that are longer than 2 hours, that you've got something that you take with you. So perhaps a banana or a muesli bar or some of those sports jars. And if it's warm, if it's quite hot, then maybe a sports drink, but make sure you've got plenty of water. So the last thing I wanted to cover off about training for an event like this is that we work through a progressive 4-week cycle of a lot of the training that we do with cyclists. And what that is that the first 3 weeks we progressively build the training load and the volume of training, and then on the 4th week we back it off. And it goes along the philosophy that basically the training load's stimulus. That's what stimulates the actual adaptation and the fitness, but you don't actually adapt until you actually provide your body the opportunity to recover. And it's in that recovery that you actually develop the fitness. So by running through a 3-week build and then a 1-week recovery week, and that week we don't rest, we just drop the volume off and the intensity, what that enables you to do is it enables the body to build its fitness and it stops you from overtraining. So I just wanted to touch on a couple of other important things. One's stakeholder buy-in and the other one's goal setting. So stakeholder buy-in is when, obviously, when you're training for an event like this, it's going to consume a bit of time out of your daily routine. So it may impact on stuff that's happening at home or stuff that's happening at work. So it's important that when you do embark on a training program for an event like this, that you just let your stakeholders, that's the people around you, your work colleagues and your family members, know that you're going to be committing to do the training. And that means that there may be some things that you won't be able to do. So by getting that stakeholder buy-in, it just makes things a lot more easier and there's no sort of surprises. It means that it gives you the opportunity to get out there on the weekends and do the training that you need to do, rather than have other things that are happening in the weekend impact on that training. And that'll make it obviously a lot more successful. Now, the underpinning thing with that is that you need to have a bit of a plan put together. So when you're ready to commit to the training, it's a good idea just to put together a bit of a plan and see what currently is going to happen in those weeks leading up to the event that's going to get in the way of the training. So if you've got a work event, or you've got some holidays that you're going on, or you've got some business travel, or you've got something coming up, or a wedding or whatever, that you work those into your plan, and then once you've got that sorted out, then you can start slotting in your training and work out what you're going to do when, so that you can work on that progressive build through that 4-week cycle. So, and the other thing and that'll help you with your goal setting, obviously. The other thing about goal setting is that once you put the plan in place, it just makes it a lot easier to ride through it, rather than just waking up in the morning and ad hocing it. All right, so it just works out a lot better. And what we find actually, when we have people in our remote coaching program that's been really successful, we find that people really enjoy having the plan. It means they don't have to think too much about what's happening. They can just get into their training and they just do the plan. So if you're able to put together a plan that gives you a step-by-step, yep, I'm going to be doing this sort of training on this day, this sort of training on that day, then that's going to help. Now, I just wanted to touch on another thing that I've just thought of, and that is that obviously if the weather's really bad and you've got something training scheduled in, maybe a ride to work or whatever, you can substitute that for perhaps an indoor training class at a gym. Now, Bicycle Network, they've put together this great little iPhone app. It's called Ride Log, and it's actually developed to help them track and create metrics for rides that people are doing, and that helps them to work with government bodies to help plan new infrastructure for cyclists. So that's fantastic. But the rider log's a really good tool to help you with your goal setting as well, because what you can do is you can put together your plan like I've just recently talked about, and then you track it with your ride log, and the ride log just helps you track that progress. So it helps just sort of tick off those little training sessions one by one, and that'll help you with your goal setting as well. So I just wanted to introduce that ride log thing to you. Just wait till the end of the video and I'll put together a link along with a whole lot of other links that'll talk about that one and other things as well that we've covered off in this training session. One of the first things that I would do before embarking on a training program like this was just get my bike position checked out at one of the local bike shops. Now, Bicycle Superstore, they've got a partnership with Bicycle Network on the Great Vic. So if you've got a Bicycle Superstore close by, then certainly go down there and book yourself in for a bike fitting. Otherwise, one of your local bike stores will be fine. And while you're there, obviously, it's a good opportunity to get your bike checked out and make sure it's running perfectly, because the last thing you want is to get into your training program and have a mechanical. So having your bike set up properly helps reduce the chance of a lot of cycling related pain and injury. Things like lower back pain, upper shoulder pain, numb hands, numb feet, sore knees, those sort of things. They're all contributed by poor fit up. So if you're able to get your fit up sorted out earlier on, then that'll just help reduce the chance of those injuries happening. And it means that your riding becomes a lot more enjoyable as well. So a good bike fit's one of your best friends. So while we're on the subject of injury prevention, it's a good idea to consider stretching. Now what we recommend to cyclists is that they stretch 5 or 10 minutes after a ride. And if you're looking for some good stretching exercises, we've got a fantastic DVD available on our website called the Matt Brindle Functional Strength DVD. It's a bit of a mouthful. Now, in it has some fantastic mobilizer exercises, and they're basically a dynamic stretch. So if you're looking for some stretching, check it out on our website. Well, we're almost finished, and thank you very much for your time in watching this video. Now, coming up is a whole lot of links that I think you'll find very interesting that'll help you with your preparation for this event. So keep watching.